Hello, Moto.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with Tech Daily, and in this video, we are checking out the new Motorola One 5G Ace. For Motorola fans looking to upgrade, and perhaps for folks looking to get started with 5G without having to pay flagship prices, this device probably seems pretty enticing. There are quite a few things to consider with this phone though, and I'm gonna go over all of that in this video, of course. But first things first, let's go ahead and unbox this thing and see what all comes inside the package when you buy it. So sliding off the lid, the first thing we get is the phone itself. The Ace comes in one color, this shiny silver finish, and unlocked at least one configuration option. So what you see is what you get here. Digging a little deeper, the package also includes a stack of paperwork and instructions along with a SIM removal tool if you need it, and underneath that stuff, just two included accessories, a 15-watt USB-A wall plug and a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Pretty standard stuff that we've seen on all the other Motorola phones so far this year. With all that stuff out of the way, here is the Ace once again, and right off the bat, I think there are quite a few things you can pick out about this phone just by glancing at it. If it wasn't totally obvious, this is a big phone, 6.7 inches with that tall 20:9 aspect ratio. Nowadays, it's certainly at the upper end of screen size, basically rivals the biggest phones on the market, and while it is a lot to hold and manage in the hand, I do think getting all that real estate to view your content is pretty nice. Across the front, you get a very familiar design. There's a center hole punch camera cutout that to me looks to maybe be a little bigger than average, but not a big deal. There's minimal bezels all around, a super subtle bottom chin, just a little wider than the sides, but greater than an 85% screen to body ratio, which is pretty solid. Unlike some other big phones, like the Stylo 6 or A21 for example, you don't get a whole lot of bulk or wasted space. From the front at least, it certainly looks like your average 2020 or 2021 Motorola phone, but around back, they definitely added quite a bit of flair to make this phone stand out. This shiny silver finish produces quite the rainbow effect in the right light, and overall, I think this is probably a love it or hate it kind of design. I think it's unique to say the least, though while the housing might imitate a shimmering metal material, it is still all plastic, as you might expect from a mid-range Moto device. If you look a little closer, you can see a subtle crisscross pattern covering the back as well. Kind of looks like a steel plate in a way. The sides are a matte silver, and the frame to me feels like a sturdy metal. All in all, while the shimmer and shine might not be everyone's favorite, I do kind of like it. It's visually very interesting, at least. It's also water repellent. That's how Motorola explains it, at least. So it should survive at least a little bit of accidental spillage. So taking a closer look at everything else, on the left side, you've got the SIM and SD card tray in its usual spot. On the right, there's the familiar volume buttons and power button, but you'll notice, unlike some other new 2021 Motorola phones like the Stylus and the Power, this 5G Ace doesn't get the refreshed fingerprint side button combo setup. It still has the famous Motorola logo dimple and rear fingerprint sensor around back. So kind of a strange inconsistency compared to the other new 2021 Motorola devices. Down below, there's a headphone jack, USB-C port, and downward firing speaker, and the speaker setup actually is on par with the rest of Motorola's 2021 devices, and that's to say it is a single speaker setup. No stereo sound on this phone. The earpiece does not double as a secondary speaker like previous Motorola phones have had. Here's a quick sound sample so you can get an idea. Also around back is a triple lens camera setup and flash, which I'll go more in depth with in a bit. But first, let me just quickly go over the rest of the specs. With the display, the 5G Ace gets a full HD 2400 by 1080 resolution, LTPS, IPS, LCD panel, a lot of letters there, and packs in around 393 pixels per inch. I think it's a bright, bold looking screen for being LCD anyway. The resolution is right for a screen this size. It's obviously really nice to be able to watch content on this thing. Like I said earlier, 6.7 inches is just a massive display. And I think for most people, this is a fine looking screen. Now, inside the 5G Ace, I think there's really three important things to consider. First off, powering this phone is a fairly large 5,000 milliamp battery, and that's likely going to be good enough for a day and a half of use on a single charge, maybe even more than that if you're kind of a light user. It's actually the same size battery as the Moto G Power, and that phone was named because of its big battery. So what you get here is as good as that, and power users I think are really going to appreciate the longevity. The downside is 15 watt max charging speeds, and nowadays that's pretty slow, especially for a big battery like this. You also don't get wireless charging either, but I can probably look past those things just considering that this phone won't spend too much time plugged in anyway. In regards to the specs, this phone gets the mid-range Snapdragon 750G chipset, an Adreno 619 GPU, 6 GB of RAM, and 128 GB of internal storage. Out of the box, it's fast, fluid, and Motorola's Android UI is unique, obviously, but I think it's still really good. The third important thing to consider is actually the 5G capability with this phone. So 5G is kind of a loose term on the 5G Ace. You'll get LTE and sub 6 gigahertz connectivity. But at the moment, the unlocked version of this device seems to only get 5G on T-Mobile and its subsidiaries. Kind of like the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. It looks like sometime soon Motorola will have a 5G Ace for Verizon and AT&T. But for now, just understand that the 5G branded to this phone is limited, to say the least. So finally, with all those cameras around back, there's actually not a lot to talk about here because the setup has sort of been used and reused in a lot of other Moto devices already. The main lens is that 48 megapixel shooter. There's a secondary 8 megapixel 118 degree ultra wide lens and a 2 megapixel macro lens for up close photography. Up front, there's also a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Again, nothing too surprising. Now, you guys know the camera app itself has gone through some changes, but the features and functionality on this phone are about what you'd expect. Night vision, along with Motorola's own unique filters, are all present. You can shoot up to 4K video with the rear lens, and to me, with just a quick test sample out of the box, the results look pretty decent. I think the selfie camera produces a super accurate shot. Colors look really good, detail is there. There's no glaring issues. The rear lens setup is a little more saturated. I think I look probably more orange than I would have liked, but still pretty decent, all things considered. So all in all, I think the Motorola One 5G Ace offers a few things to like for the everyday consumer. It's a big device with a long-lasting battery, decent mid-range specs, a solid camera setup. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though, and I'll see you guys later.
Would you rather chat with an expert about this product or see a live demo? Just scan this QR code with your phone's camera to get started. Ask a live expert questions about a Motorola device in real time, voice or message chat, Sunday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.